Welcome to BCC Virtual Racing. Tonight's race is the Watopia figure of 8 course, 1 lap for the category A, B and C riders, 2 laps for category D, not of the full course but a slightly shortened version that just covers the sort of the outside area, and the course is run in both directions, hence the figure of 8. So tonight we start in category B pen with 11 riders, and category A 1, 2, let's have a look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, category C 4, and category D 4. And as we wait for the start of Cat B, let's have a quick look at the course. Longest hills today, the Zwift KOM reverse 2.5 kilometers at 1.8%, and the Zwift KOM the other side of it 0.9 kilometers at 5%. So this is a course that should suit all riders. It has both hills, flats, downhills as well. And 6 seconds until the start. Riders start at 1 minute intervals, so the A's are already off, as is typical for GGCC events. Let's see who I can grab hold of. There's Empson on screen now, and I'm sure in the field Mayhew Smith I can see just ahead, Taff as well, Blackham's in there, Davis I'm sure is in there, Lancier. There's a course I think that could suit Lancier quite well if he just hangs on in there with the pack. There is Davis. We'll have a quick look up front just to see how the A's are progressing. Remember, they have started 1 minute ahead. It's the C's just about to go. In fact, while I'm here, may as well watch them start. And there they are, Nixon and Measham. Let's just watch a start from Cullen if we can get him. There he is, 188 watts. Zwift's not telling me at the moment how many riders. There we go. There's 64 riders in the C field by the looks of it. And Cullen at 141 beats per minute as he gets underway for this. For him, it is a full 30.2 kilometers. That's including a short lead-in of 200 meters. For the D's, the 2 laps of the shorter course, I think it is 20 kilometers for them. So they should, as GGCC oftentimes these events, they should finish at much the same time as the fastest riders in the race this evening. And yet again I seem to be having some technical problem with YouTube live streaming. It seems to have stopped. Well, I'll have a look at that later. At least the video is being recorded. I'll just double check that it is. It is indeed. So that's not an issue in itself. In the C's, White and Nixon is in there, so White's pulled ahead of Cullen at the moment, just slightly. They're both in the same group. Let's have a look at category A. There's Measham pulling away. Just moving up through the field. Someone there in the Littlewood and Tamsin towards the rear of category B at this stage. They often ride together as they go through the ocean tunnels. Taff is in that same group as well, and I would already expect to see a slight break from the leading riders. Mayhew Smith. But they all seem to be in the same group at this stage. Am I right? Yes, I think they are. Campbell. There is Campbell on screen now at 310 watts, 320. Heartbeat 135, which is round average for him. He'll be keen to improve on his performance from Thursday night when he wasn't quite on form. I think he had a TUE exemption. And there is, it's just moving up, Kalik. I did hear a rumour that his contract had been suspended after his shocking performance on Thursday evening, where he was actually overtaken by Cullen, which is something I've never seen before and would gladly have paid for if I'd been there to watch it live myself. So I think this is the last chance for him. He really needs to put his feet down here and show the team what he really can do. But at the moment he's right in the mix alongside Taff, Lance here, Davis, all the usual suspects together at this stage. Blackham up the front, and I just saw one of the Category A riders just disappearing off the top of the screen there, Danes, and they haven't caught up with the... No, I was just going to... for a moment there I thought they'd, the Bs had caught up with the A's, but they haven't, so 1 minute 18 seconds behind. And in the field, of course, Stoneham, Jury, Tom and Charles, and what a good race they had on I think it was Thursday evening. Stoneham made a classic, well, that was maybe last Monday, but the ongoing battle between Stoneham and Tom continues, but Charles and Jury showing that they're quite capable under the right circumstances. Charles is continuing to improve his performance. And they are now up 4.7 kilometres. First hill comes in at around 7 kilometres. So 2k to go for these riders. Charles, Stoneham, all looking comfortable is the wrong word, but in the zone, I think, is probably the best way to describe it. No one stretching it out. All the A's still together, apart from this one rider who's dropped off. And up the front of Category B, Lancia, Blackham, all in there. Lancia at 300 watts, and the live stream still looks as if it's not working properly. If that is the case, I will upload a video directly after this race is finished. Mayhew Smith still hanging on in there, has over the last few races sort of hung on with the front group for certainly the first half of the race, if not a little bit more, and then is slowly sort of drifted backwards. Hopefully he can stay there this evening. Just another check of Kalik. I just want to make sure he's making the effort that he should be. Blackham in this group as well. I think this is a route that could suit Blackham very well. He's got a good long sprint on him, likes to punch up the hills, and while there are only two sort of major hills, the route is undulating. And just as a quick reminder, the riders are roughly here on the course, just about to reach that first climb. And while they do, if there's enough time, we'll move quickly back in the field. Empson still with this group as well, so all the main protagonists, you could see some of them there on screen. Taft, Mayhew, Smith, Davis, all still together. Lancia and Blackham as well. No sign of Civita yet. There's Thompson from GGCC. He'll be looking to get ahead of Davis, I'm sure, but at the moment right in the mix. And as we get towards the back of the B group, this is where the split occurs. These are the first riders that have dropped off the back of Category B, and for BCC we have Tamsin and Littlewood in this group here. and they are about 40 seconds ahead of the Category C riders, who in effect are catching them, because of course they started 1 minute later. Let's see if we can find some of Chris Reed, another late entry again, who's been doing well, winning Category C fairly consistently for BCC, and his team will be extremely close, I suspect, to moving up to Cat B. And further back in the field, I'll just see if I can find some of the other BCC riders. Nixon seems to be the second rider. In fact, he is alongside Chris Reed, so still up at the front of the group. And there's someone there who's Measham, about 20 seconds back on the leading group of C riders. He's coming back to full fitness though after an injury. Will take him a little time. And then further back still, I think I just saw Littlewood disappeared off screen again. Oliver White, and then Cullen some further 11 seconds back. Oh, he's got someone on a mountain bike behind, but here is Cullen leading from the front. That's really not what he wants to be doing. It'd be good actually if he could sit behind this mountain biker, give himself a little bit of respite. And Cullen now at 5.9 kilometers, 9 minutes in. And further back, Jones, Morton together. No sign of Telford at the moment. Might just be a little bit further back. There he is. In fact, he is 34 seconds back. So at 5.1 kilometers, Telford is 34 seconds behind Jones and Morton. And just behind him, 3 seconds further back, is Lay. Again, another rider returning to full fitness, and should be able to just see. In fact, that is the little group ahead, is Telford. So this is an interesting one. This seems to happen fairly often. Telford ends up riding by himself or with a very small group, drops behind Jones and then seems to catch up a little bit later on. So I'll try and follow that action a little bit later in the race. And now if we can loop back through to the... No, it won't let me today. To move up to the front. Let's see if I can capture the Category A riders and see where they've got to. They'll be over the first climb, I think, by now. Let's just see if that has split the group up at all. In fact, if we catch Category B, this is on the climb now. Littlewood and Tamsin still together on this 2.5 kilometre climb, not very steep at 1.8% average, although they are on a 6% section now. Moving further forward, Taff, is he still? No, he has dropped off the main B group as well. It's at least 6 seconds back. He is 6 seconds back. Blackham, so Taff is 6 seconds behind Blackham, who seems to have fallen away from the leading peloton of B riders. That's a surprise. We wouldn't have expected that at this stage, not at 8.9 kilometres. In fact, he is 5 seconds behind Campbell, who continues to ride well. He seems to have recovered. So that's a surprise to see Blackham drifting off. Empson and Lancier in this group as well. Lancier holding on well at 9.2 kilometres. And Davis, no great surprise, he's in there, as is Thompson from GGCC. And the A riders, Danes, what is happening with Danes? Danes seems to have blown up 150 watts. He's either has a problem or has given up. Maybe tactically moving back to the B riders behind him, which is a good move in my view at this stage. Jury also seems not to have been able to hold on to the leading group, so she's got a choice to make on this downhill section. Just steep enough for a super tuck. I'm not sure whether she's in one or not. No, still pedaling. So she is about 11 seconds ahead of Danes, but at least 38 seconds away from the leading riders. I suspect it was that hill that made the change, but up front, Stoneham and Tom. Stoneham currently in 11th spot. In fact, there is Charles in 5th spot, along with Tom. In fact, Tom is just behind him. So in fact, all three are together in this bunch on screen now. Some power-ups coming out at 11.7 kilometers. It's one of the sprint banners, I think. Or is it the... no, it's the KOM. So the riders will, as I mentioned earlier, figure of 8, they will ride both hills in both directions. So Charles still seems to be consistent, or is riding very consistently, I should say. The rain's coming down now. That will slow things down a little bit. For some riders it will make the handling a little bit more difficult, particularly Kalik. He's not great in the rain. In fact, combination of the rain and going downhill won't suit him at all. In fact, there's just ahead of Charles now, in fact 3 minutes ahead I should say, the back end of the D riders, Morton and Jones. Stoneham, as usual, a tactic he often plays, sitting on the back of the bunch, conserving energy. May think about an attack later, that is his style, but nonetheless I would suspect 280 watts, fairly comfortable. No heart rate tonight though, which could be a serious problem for him, as he does win these races sometimes in the top 3 riders or so with most of the race series, but I'm not quite sure what the policy is for GGCC, but I would expect if you don't have a heart rate monitor for the top 3 riders at least, you will get disqualified. And a further 50 seconds now behind Stoneham is Jury at 211 watts, 170 I just saw there, so just as she's crested this hill, or just about to crest the hill I should say. So still pushing out the power, but has clearly lost touch with the leading riders. I'm just trying to locate Danes, as he as well had fallen off the back. And let's have a look at the B riders now. Lance here leading the charge for Cat B at 12.5 kilometers. Kalik still in there. Let's just make sure he's making enough effort here. 267, 228 watts, heartbeat 161, I think he is. Thankfully not a repeat of Thursday's shocking performance. Davis 3.8 watts per kilo. Campbell's there as well. So Campbell, Lancier, Davis, Kalik in this group. We're looking for Blackham a little bit further back. Is that Danes? Yes, Danes must have a problem. 170 watts. In fact, that is the B riders ahead of him pulling away. So something's going on with Danes. And if I can get past these riders. Telford. That's what I was looking for. Taft. I'm just looking for Taft, Mayhew, Smith. They're both together at 12.7 kilometers, 17 minutes 50 seconds into the race, and that will be the race going off in the other direction, which just passed these riders. So Mayhew, Smith and Taft about a minute behind the leading group of B riders as far as I can work out at this stage. There's Mayhew Smith, 220 watts, heartbeat 144. Normally pushes a little bit higher than that, but early days in the race yet. He might be tactically saving himself, which is not a bad plan. And let's have a look further behind these riders, see who we can pick up. No one yet. Keeps taking me back to the same riders, unfortunately. Can't seem to find Cat C. Some Cat C riders here. There's Telford, I think I saw. Jumping around. Who do we have here? Littlewood. Littlewood at 12.8. No sign of Tamsin with him. I don't know at this stage whether she is behind or ahead. But let's just remember 12.9 kilometers for Littlewood. And Tamsin is in fact 13 seconds further behind Littlewood by herself. This will make the ride a little bit more difficult, but chasing hard behind her in category C is Nixon. And Chris Reed is actually, just spotted him. There's Chris Reed, category C, has overtaken Tamsin, 15 seconds ahead of her, but another rider that is isolated. This is a course that should, as one of the larger riders, suit him quite well, although lumpy. The hills are short, should be able to carry some momentum there, and the downhills and rolling sections should suit him very well. But he is now 17 seconds ahead of Tamsin, who has in herself is, let me just let Zwift update, is 11 seconds ahead of Nixon. So it looks as if Reed is leading the category C riders, and White is, let's have a look, 35 seconds behind Nixon at this stage. And yet another rider that is isolated. Lots of riders by themselves, no sign of Cullen. I'll have a quick scan down here and see if I can find him. White again. Not letting me get any further back in the field. Bit annoying when it does this. No, we'll come back to the back of the field at the moment. I'm just trying to get an update on the category D riders to see if Telford has made any inroads to Morton and Jones, Rob Jones. Further through the field towards the front now. There's Thompson from GGCC on screen at 148.49 beats per minute, 190 watts, so cruising in this group at the moment. Good tactic though, sit there. Lancia Blackham is in fact about 35 seconds behind Empson, Thompson, Lancia, Davis, and they are now at 17 kilometers, so over halfway. Kalik, can't see him at the moment. I expect he's still in this group. He has on occasion made a break for it. There's Campbell. There is Kalik, along with Davis and Campbell towards the front of this group. I would like to see Kalik make a break for it, an attack. They're just catching up with Jury now. In fact, Jury has been consumed by the chasing group of B riders. She won't be too happy with that, but it's better than being by yourself. and she can ride very comfortably, or more comfortably I should say, with this group of B riders. A tactic she often uses, and it works quite successfully, but nonetheless I know she'll be disappointed she's not still with the A's, but I think her target typically is to hang on there as long as is possible. There is Jones and Morton at 13.8 kilometers, just the two riders together. In fact, Jones is using a feather up to try and pull away from, Morton's using a feather up to try and pull away from Jones. Doesn't look as if it has been successful though. Jones, a very tenacious rider, quite good on the hills as well. You may think he isn't, but I think he is. But Morton is getting the advantage at this stage. In fact, Zwift says there's a 20-second gap, but that's not right. In fact, Morton's just disappeared entirely off the screen. Not sure what's happened to him. In fact, he's back again. And in fact, Zwift is reporting a 20-second gap. And it looks like it now. So a few seconds ago it didn't look like it. Now it does. So Morton is pulling away from Jones, 23 seconds ahead at 14.2 kilometers, and Jones is at 14 kilometers. Blackham at 18.2, looking more comfortable in the group. So group 2 for the B riders. And if I can get past the D riders, about another 5k to go before they finish. I will try and catch them on the finish, but not always possible, as it takes, as you can see, quite a while to find someone to watch. Lost all of the A riders now. I'm sure they'll appear shortly. But I can't seem to get back to them. Let's try it backwards. There we go. That sometimes works. So we have Charles in, looks like, first position at the moment. Position 4 is just rotating around, still holding 370 watts, 390 watts, up a 3% climb at this stage. So pushing hard. Don't think tactically he's trying to do anything, but just trying to stay with the group. They're all at sort of 5.1 to 6 watts per kilo. Stoneham in fact is on 6.1. So Charles and Stoneham still here. Tom I can't see, but I certainly don't believe that he isn't here somewhere. Let's have a look and see if I can find him. Not many riders in Cat A. In fact, there is Tom. Good. So he's still there. So it's a Stoneham, Tom and Charles competition by the looks of it. And of course I think I infamously said the other week that Charles wouldn't beat Stoneham and Tom, and I think he did. He certainly beat Stoneham. And so these are 3 riders to watch now. Charles continues to get stronger and stronger. And they are now at 21.2 kilometers. Jury 1 minute 9 seconds further back, along with the usual suspects. And I've just seen a rider there. Let's see if I can identify them. So, still watching jury. Let's have a quick look at just checking on Khalik. Make sure he's still doing what he should be doing. and he seems to be. Right, sorry, just checking on some numbers for some of the other riders. So 21.4 kilometres with Kalik, Campbell, Lancia and Davis. Seem to be riding well together at this stage. Campbell, if he's back to full fitness, I might just favour him for this race. Though Lancia, if he stays with this group, I think will do very well. And Kalik not to be underestimated at any time, but nonetheless, I need to be convinced that he's back to full performance following his performance last week. And Davis, of course, one can never guess what Davis is going to do as long as the average is under 4 watts per kilo. So if this pace stays high, Davis may well drop off towards the end if he's still in contention, just to save some watts. And up this 11% climb, plenty of it. So it looked for a moment, or it looks at the moment as if Charles is riding entirely by himself, so good luck to him, but I think that is not the case. Or it might be the case actually. So he has, in the space of that little glitch, it looks as if he has dropped off the leading group of A riders. In fact, he has. Let me just check the connection. Connection's running. So Stoneham and Tom have pulled some 11 seconds ahead of Charles. So now Charles has a very difficult task. He's far enough ahead in the race at 23.3 kilometres, 31 minutes in. He has no one in front really. There's one rider just a couple of seconds ahead. That might ease his pain a little bit if he can catch up, but he's really got to decide what to do with the riders chasing behind. Can they catch him? I suspect the leading B riders probably can, and he may well be better off just falling back to join them, because he's not at this stage, though I have said this before of course, it is possible. But Stoneham and Tom are 17 seconds ahead, so they're widening the gap very quickly. 24 kilometres they are at, and Charles is at 23.8, so only a couple of 100 metres, but as you can see it's a 14-second gap, and he is at 53 kilometres per hour, not quite fast enough for a super tuck, so he'll need to do some quick thinking and make a decision fairly fast. He's using plenty of energy on not a lot of gain, and not far behind Davis and Co. I'll try and get a time gap here. Let's have a look. About 1 minute 26 possibly. Yes, about 1 minute 26. So Davis and Co, they have not closed the gap at all. In fact, if anything, it's lengthened slightly. Between the B's and the A's, or between the B's and Charles by about 30 seconds, so suggesting that the pace for Charles and the other A riders has been very high. And along with Davis here, the usual suspects at the moment: Kalik, Campbell, Lancia, Thompson from GGCC. Is Dane still here? I haven't seen him for a while. Jury's in there as well. There's Lancia and Empson. He is no longer with the leading B group at 23.7 kilometres. Another rider that's got to make that choice. Blackham is 46 seconds behind him. So Blackham and Empson running their own race at the moment. This puts them in a very difficult position. Blackham is about 8 seconds ahead of the nearest riders behind him. Empson is close to with now one other rider, but they are in the middle of really 30 seconds at least away from the nearest riders. So hopefully Empson will get a little bit of a rest from this rider, but looks as if he's pulling ahead at this stage. There's Blackham by himself, so my predictions seem to be going out the window already. Mayhew Smith a further 21 seconds behind Blackham. So Mayhew, Smith and Taft, who are together, have continued to slide back through the field. And in fact, there is Danes talking about sliding a further 21 seconds behind Mayhew Smith by the looks of it. Still at 170 watts, so not racing at full power. I can only imagine he's either not feeling great or there's been some technical issue there. I'm just looking over at the Zwift KOM at the moment. Looks like Davis has come in at second place by 5 seconds, so good performance from him. And I would imagine some of the B riders might, sorry, not the B riders, the D riders will be getting very close to finishing. There's Littlewood at 22.5, 34 minutes. I will just let Zwift update for a moment, see if I can see Tamsin. She had dropped off earlier behind Littlewood. There's Reed. Looks as if he's still leading the charge for Category C, but there is Nixon right on his tail, only 2 seconds, so that is Reed just 2 riders ahead. In fact, if we wait for a second, I think that is Reed in the yellow there, I think. So Nixon is just about to catch Reed. In fact, Tamsin's on the back of this group trying to hold on as a Category B rider. She's pushing through, determined to catch her fellow riders up ahead. She'll be able to see them on screen now. Moving back in the field. Trying to move back in the field, I should say. Measham in Category C at 20.8, along with Cullen. There is Cullen, so target for each other. 35 minutes in, and they have completed 23 kilometers. I don't think, I may have lost the opportunity to see the White at 22 kilometers. It looks as if the D's have already finished. And in fact, maybe not. 20.5 kilometers. In fact, they're going for a sprint right now. And there is Jones just about to cross the line, and there he is. And Telford is about 30 seconds further back, so a great result for Jones in that one, beating Telford across the line. That'll please him no end. No sign of Morton. I have no doubt he's further ahead though, and has already finished, so apologies for missing you there. Nixon and Reed together. Let's move up to the front of the field. Mayhew Smith. Let's just have a quick look here. So Jury, still by herself unfortunately at 27.8 kilometers. Empson 52 seconds further back at 27.1. Blackham a further minute back at 26.5. So Blackham still continuing to move back through the overall race field. And here we get to Lancier. Is Lancier still? No, Lancier's gone as well by the looks of it. Oh, this is a disappointment. I had great hopes for Blackham and Lancier tonight, but it looks as if Lancier's had one too many pies this evening. Oh dear. So he's not even pedaling on this slight downhill. He must have pushed hard and has exhausted himself. Had a huge group coming up behind him, including Campbell actually. Have I got this wrong? So it's Campbell and Lancier together. Have I just been rude to Lancier unnecessarily? I don't think so. So it looks like Campbell and Lancier together, two of the big heavyweight riders, and it looks as if Davis and Kalik are pulling away. Yes, Davis is there as well. Let's just try and get a time gap now. So Davis and Kalik are together at 29 kilometers. We'll continue to watch this now until the end. So it's going to be a sprint between Davis and Kalik. This will be an interesting one to watch. Let's just have a look at Davis. 29.3 kilometers by my estimation, about a kilometer to go. Can't see the finish line. In fact, I can see the finish line. It's just come into view now. I've lost Kalik. I don't know whether he's gone ahead. I'm reluctant to click on anything. Have a quick look. Where is Kalik? There goes Davis, 8.3 watts per kilo. No sign of Kalik. I can only assume he is ahead of Davis. Must be. And here comes Davis up to the finish line now. And he's just overtaken Kalik. Oh, it's unbelievable. In fact, I might just have that on a slow motion replay. There is Davis overtaking Kalik and crosses the line first, and back to the action just as Davis begins to cool down. See if we can now pick up next riders crossing the line. Have to move fairly quickly. There's Campbell and Lancier just crossed the line. Just missed that one, unfortunately. Looks as if Lancier just beat Campbell, so good result for him. And who else is coming up next? I'll get quickly up to the front of this list. Come on, Zwift, do your thing. Let's see the riders up the front. Looking for Taft, Mayhew, Smith. I expect to be still riding and may have finished. There's someone there. Who's that? Littlewood at 27.2. Should be someone ahead of him. Danes 27.5. Anyone else ahead? There is Taft and Mayhew Smith. So this might be an interesting finish. See if I can get a slow motion replay on them as well. At the moment, anyone's guess. Taft, if I had to put my money on it. But Mayhew Smith looks as if he's trying to make a bit of a break now on the downhill. 28.8 kilometers. Finishes about 30.2, I think it was. So just over a kilometre to go. In fact, there is Blackham. Let's have a quick look at Blackham. Just coming up to the finish line now. Putting in a customary sprint, so he's got something there left. And Blackham crossing the finish line. I can get back to Mayhew Smith now. And Taft. Here they are. 29.3, taking their power right off. Who's playing a game of chicken? Cat and mouse going on here, I think. Mayhew Smith trying to sit comfortably, or trying to sit as comfortably as he can, I should say, behind Taft. Taft putting on a bit of power now, though. And he's looking behind him. And he knows what's going on. Mayhew Smith still sitting behind Taft, thinking about it. Finish line is going to come into view just as they round this corner. Mayhew Smith still sitting there, doesn't want to go ahead at this stage. And he goes now, and 9.9 watts per kilo from Taft. Mayhew Smith still ahead. Taft pulls ahead. And it is in fact Taft that crosses the line first. And we should get that one on a replay, I think. Let's have a look. There is Taft crossing a line ahead of Mayhew Smith. What a great ride from him. And we'll see if we can get anyone else back on course. Misham at 24.3, must be someone ahead of him. White is at 26.4. Nixon 27.8. Where is Reed? He's, in fact, Nixon's right next to Tamsin. No sign of Reed. Could be further ahead. I'll have a quick look. In fact, he is in this same group, though. Is there anyone ahead of them? Someone from BCC, Littlewood. And in fact, just ahead of him, Danes, 163 watts, going to get caught by Littlewood. So Dane's now clearly just in it to finish the race, so good for him. Something must have gone wrong though. Littlewood, in fact there is Littlewood catching up with Danes, just the rider in the front of this small group, and they will cross the finish line. I don't think there'll be a sprint there. Let's move further back and see if we can catch another sprint. It is Reed and Nixon. No, Reed is next at 28.7 kilometers. Nixon is now 20 seconds further back, unlikely to catch up at this stage. 20 seconds is a huge distance to cover in, or to close down in just over a kilometer. So it looks as if, as far as I can tell, Reed is going to win category C yet again. He might have moved up to Cat B for all I know at this stage. "44 minutes 52 seconds, 640 watts, putting in a big push there up this hill, trying to pull away from the rider behind him. Although he may regularly win the category for BCC, he's a good rider in Cat C overall, but will be wanting to improve his position, I have no doubt about that. And let's see if he's going to do anything here. And in fact he is, he's going for it. 8.8 watts per kilo. Can we take it up to 9.2? He's pulling well ahead. And he's continuing to push all the way to the line. That's nice to see. And he crosses the line 45.37. And that's him cooling down now. Right, let's have a look and see if there are, or if I can capture any other riders on course. I haven't seen Cullen for a while, just seen Tamsin there. Measham, there is Measham and Cullen at 26.6. White is at 28.3. I suspect White is the next rider that's going to be crossing the line. In fact, no, it's not. It's Tamsin at 30 kilometers, just crossed the line. And I know what Zwift is like now. It's not going to let me get back to those other riders. Let's give it a try. Looks like it is White. Yes, it will be White next to cross the line for BCC. No one in contention from the club for him. And a slight downhill, a tiny little bump, and then the finish will come into view. So I'd like to see what's happening further back in the field with Cullen and Measham. This could be the next key moment in this race. I'm just having a quick look further back, see if there is anyone behind. I won't risk it, I know what happens with this. We'll stay with Cullen and Measham. Measham looks as... just Zwift updating, I was just about to say looks as if Measham was pulled ahead, but no, that is not the case. Both in the same team, wearing black. I think yes, they are both wearing black for the cheetahs. 27.7 kilometers. So Cullen has a new FTP increased this week, and I think looking at this performance will likely go up again. Measham, as I mentioned earlier, coming back to full fitness. And while they approach the final part of this course, quick check. Now these are the two, as far as I can tell at least, these are the final two riders from BCC on course now at 27.9 kilometers. 2 kilometers to go. Cullen at 116 watts, just on a slight downhill. Stop pedaling altogether, just coasting, trying to save his energy. Slight peak, a slight incline here up to 180 watts, and by comparison Measham doing much the same, actually, much the same. Heartbeat 147 for Cullen and 165 for Measham, and I'm sure Measham won't mind me saying he's a little bit older, so based on just age alone I would have thought Cullen could squeeze a bit more out at this stage. Just pushing 5.1 watts per kilo though, and completed 28.6 minutes. It's a long race, this one. It will be over 50 minutes by the time they get to the finish. Looks as if Cullen is trying hard to pull away from Measham. Measham is certainly not letting him go. Cullen taking a drink there. Not so sure it will do him much good at this stage. 28.9 kilometers. A slight decline. $29K. The finish will come into sight. In fact, it is visible on top right of the screen on the moving map. So who do we think is going to win this one? Cullen is in front at the moment, but that might not last. Let's see what happens. Cullen's still in front. There's a Measham's using a power up, very useful at this stage. If he's going to use it, he needs to really use it though. He's just using it to hang on to Cullen. Cullen's pulling slightly ahead. It looks to me as if it's going to be Cullen. Measham's going for it. Cullen at 6 watts per kilo, Measham at 4.3. Cullen still, he's sitting back down. Measham's going to overtake him, and it is Measham that, it is, yes, Measham has in fact beaten Cullen to the finish, so well done to him. And we'll just get that finish there. There is Measham crossing the line ahead of Cullen, and as they cool down now, we shall leave the racing for this evening. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Apparently I'm supposed to say that. Next race is on Wednesday evening.